There's a place in the middle of nowhere, nestled deep in the countryside, where every map and every GPS system shows it, but no one can find it. It's a town that should exist, but doesn't. And the eerie part, people who once lived there have no memory of ever being there at all. This is the story of Millfield, a small town that vanished overnight, leaving behind only whispers and a mystery that has never been solved. Millfield was a quiet, picturesque town, nothing extraordinary about it. It had a population of just over 200 people, tucked away in the rolling hills of the Midwest. The town was a typical American small-town single-story houses, with porches, a couple of shops on Main Street, a diner that served the best cherry pie around, and a community center where the local townspeople gathered for weekly events. On the night of April 12, 1996, Millfield's town square was alive with the sounds of the annual Spring Festival. The townspeople gathered for food, music, and fun. The evening was filled with laughter and joy. The air was warm, the sky clear, everything seemed normal. But what no one knew was that by sunrise, the town would be gone. When morning arrived, something wasn't right. The first person to notice was Gary Thompson, the town's mailman. As he made his usual route, he started to notice a strange silence. The streets, usually filled with people going about their day, were empty. The homes were still, their windows dark. The usual sounds of kids playing, dogs barking, and neighbors chatting were all absent. At first, Gary thought it was just an unusually quiet morning. But when he reached the town square, he found something even more bizarre. The entire town was abandoned. There were no cars parked on the streets, no people walking to work or getting their morning coffee. It was as though the entire town had vanished in the middle of the night. Gary knocked on the door of his friend Hank's house, but there was no answer. He walked down the block, trying every door, but they were all locked, and there were no signs of life anywhere. Jerry's concern quickly turned to panic. He ran to the local diner, hoping to find someone, anyone. But inside, the tables were still set as though they'd been left in a hurry. The coffee was still hot in the mugs, and the food was half-eaten, as if the diners had been interrupted in the middle of their meals. At this point, Gary rushed to the police station. He expected to find the sheriff or at least someone who could explain what was happening. But the station was empty, the lights off. The door was wide open, and inside, everything was in its place, untouched. There were no signs of struggle, no sign of foul play, just an empty station. Panicking, Gary turned to the one place he hadn't checked, the local church. He ran there, praying to find someone who could explain the strange phenomenon. But when he opened the door, he was met with the same unsettling scene. Empty pews, flickering candles, and the faint smell of incense still hanging in the air. By now, Gary realized that this wasn't just some weird morning. The entire town was gone. People had disappeared without a trace, and nothing was left behind to explain why. As word spread, a small group of concerned outsiders began arriving in Millfield, trying to figure out what had happened. They found the same empty streets, the same abandoned homes. The police arrived soon after, but they found no clues, no evidence, nothing that could explain the town's sudden disappearance. No one was missing, at least, not in the traditional sense. There were no signs of any struggle or violence, no evidence of a natural disaster, no trace of any sort of mass evacuation. It was as if the town had simply ceased to exist. Theories began to surface. Some believed it was some sort of government experiment gone wrong. Others speculated that the town had been mysteriously erased from existence, perhaps a rift in time or space that had swallowed the town whole. But no one could agree on a cause, and no one had any answers. Then, something strange happened. Months after Millfield's disappearance, people who had once lived there began to return to the town. But they didn't remember anything about their time there. Their memories were completely erased. They didn't recognize the faces of their former neighbors. They didn't remember their homes, their families, or the festivals they'd attended. It was as though the very essence of Millfield had been wiped clean from their minds. The few who managed to recall anything spoke of strange dreams, vivid dreams of walking through the empty streets, of hearing voices in the wind, and of dark figures watching from the shadows. But when they tried to speak about it, they would forget within moments. The investigation continued for years, but nothing concrete was ever found. The town's records were missing. The government had no explanation. Even the phone lines and internet connections had been mysteriously severed during the night of Millfield's disappearance, leaving no trace of any communication with the outside world. No one ever returned to Millfield. Over time, it became an abandoned ghost town, forgotten by most. A few who remember still speak of it in hushed tones, afraid to ask too many questions. It's as though the town never existed, swallowed up by some force beyond comprehension. This day, Millfield's disappearance remains one of the most baffling mysteries in American history. Was it an elaborate hoax, a government cover-up, or something even stranger? Some people claim they've seen it on maps, others say it was never there at all. But one thing is certain, Millfield has vanished, and with it, its story is lost to time. If you've ever come across a place that seems to vanish, or a mystery that refuses to be solved, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Maybe one day, the truth about Millfield will be uncovered, or maybe it will remain lost forever, just like the town itself.